Ready? Take three, action!
Hi, welcome to the show. My name is Soyeon Cho. Today we'd like to have an important discussion dealing with both visible and invisible disability issues in terms of employment, opportunities, and how other people at work perceive and treat those with disabilities. Here in the studio, we have two very special guests, Mr. Washington and Ms. Wong. They both are the successful CPAs from Loeb and Associates. Good afternoon, Mr. Washington and Ms. Wong.
Hi,
How you
good
doing?
afternoon,
How you doing,
Sonia.
Sonia?
Okay, now I believe two of you are the CPAs from the same firm and have worked for over 10 years.
That's correct.
And I was told that you guys are the manager position of your company and everyone respects and looks upon you since both of you provide the best results. Is that true?
Oh, well, I don't know about that, but if that's what you got on your paper, then I guess that's true.
Sorry, Mr. Washington always likes to make joke around. Yes, so far, Mr. Washington and I have been receiving the Best Employee Awards every year.
Okay, I see. Well, I can see that you've lost your arm, Mr. Washington. Tell me what happened.
Well, actually, I was in a car accident about 15 years ago, and I had to have my arm amputated, as you can see, and it hasn't stopped me from pursuing my career, but it has been difficult.
So I'm wondering, had any of your coworkers look at you differently compared to other coworkers? And I mean, can you tell me about how they treated you because of your appearance and when you first started working for the firm?
Well, I can also say that I did notice a difference between my employees once I was disabled. Nobody really said anything to me face to face, but you could always feel that sense of timidness and worry about my disability. And it sort of made it uncomfortable at first, but I've gotten used to it since then.
So can you tell me more about how you felt in that environment?
Well, at first it was uncomfortable, you know. A lot of people were wondering what was wrong here, but they didn't have the courage to say so, and I would get odd looks and stuff like that. But as I showed that I was able to still do the work despite my disability, I get acceptance within my coworkers, and now I'm one of the most loved and most liked counselors that we have over at Loeb and Associates.
I see. Well, thanks for sharing your feelings. We'll be back after the break.
I like your earrings. You always have nice earrings. Where did you get it?
Mr. Stretch. So now let's talk about your situation, Ms. Wong.
Okay.
I believe you have an invisible disability.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly are you diagnosed with?
Well, for the past 5 years, I've suffered from social anxiety. I got very nervous when there are a lot of people around me, including strangers and non-strangers. And the more people there are, the more I get nervous. And in that situation, I won't be able to focus on my work.
Well, if you have a disability and it doesn't show, does it mean that you're not really disabled? Or what kind of problems are faced by people who have disabilities that aren't readily apparent to observers?
Okay, for my situation, it has been disabling at times, but because I can hide, I feel like I have to justify to certain people why I can't do this. I feel guilty almost. I ask myself, why can't I say I can't or I can't do, or I'm not able to? If I can make myself clear, I would have to. But eventually, I just find myself making excuses. In fact, I want to make my anxiety obviously and by checking into a hospital or taking some medicines because I thought it would make my issue more real.
Well, it must be very difficult for you. Then how are you able to deal with all that and achieve to be in the position that you're in now? And was there any accommodations provided by the company?
Okay, nobody knew my disabilities at first since I didn't have social anxiety for the 5 years with working in the same company. But however, people eventually noticed and understand my situation. They knew I can provide better quality of work if I'm alone by myself. Therefore, I would just stay in my small office most of the time to provide my work.
Okay, now let's turn to Mr. Washington, who has been waiting for a while.
Thanks, man. I love the false statement. Call me Denzel.
Oh, okay, Denzel. Sorry. Well, it's your turn now, don't worry. So now that you've been working at a firm for a while, are your coworkers treating you any differently than they used to be treating you?
Most definitely, most definitely. At first there was a bit of awkwardness when I first came aboard and with my disability, but now I feel that my coworkers have embraced me, and now they come to me with a lot of their issues, whether it be personal, career related, or even on the job. A lot of times the female workers come and I have to talk to them or console them with their issues, and a lot of times it takes up my work day. A lot of it, I can't lie, I like the attention, but I also am here to do a job, so yeah.
Well, is that true, Ms. Moore?
Well, if he says so, I won't lie. He's a famous person in our company. In fact, he's probably been the most famous person in all of our employees.
Okay, well, I see. I'm very glad to hear that. Since we are running out of time, is there anything any of you would like to emphasize on, or anything you want to say to people with visible and invisible disabilities out there who are qualified enough to work for the companies like that, or to the public in general?
Well, the thing that I like to emphasize is that disabilities, whether it be visible or invisible, don't stop you from becoming what you want to be. It's all about you putting your mind to something and achieving it. It may be a little bit harder for people with disabilities than those without disabilities, but in this day and age, anything is possible, and companies are not making accommodations for people like me and Ms. Wong who do have disabilities.
Yeah, I agree with what he says, and I also like to add to his point. Like the same thing applies to invisible disabilities, such as people with my situation. It's very important to help them cope with the environment so that they can focus on their work and provide with better results.
I'm sure a lot of people with disabilities out there are encouraged by you guys. Thanks for being here, Mr. Washington and Ms. Wong.
Thank you for inviting us and
Thanks for
trying this
inviting
out.
us.
Recently, employers are increasingly faced with managing a diverse workforce, and many have strengthened their efforts in the area of corporate social responsibility. The employment experiences of persons with disabilities during this time may provide an indication of the extent to which employer attitudes present significant barriers or opportunities for the employment of people with disabilities desiring to participate in our nation's labor force. With that in mind, I will see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.